There comes a moment in every man's life when the noise of the world grows so loud, you can't hear your own soul anymore. You wake up with a phone full of notifications, messages left unread, rejection after rejection, and behind the "I'm good" brow, you're breaking. You're tired. But you don't know what of. You've chased money, approval, pleasure, women. But the emptiness stays. And here's the truth no one is telling you. The signs have already appeared, not just in the skies, not just in the politics, not just in the wars and famines and darkness sweeping the world. No, the sign is already in your soul. What you feel right now, the weight, the confusion, the silence, is not failure. It is a divine alarm. It is heaven shouting through your brokenness, "Son, the hour is late. Come home." The final rapture sign isn't out there. It's in here. It's when men stop pretending and start awakening. You were not born to survive off validation. You were not created to chase women who don't see your worth. You are not here to be another boy in a man's body. You were called to rise. In this message, we're not just talking prophecy. We're talking identity. We're not just preparing for the rapture. We're reclaiming your soul. So listen, this isn't a sermon for the faint of heart. This is a wake-up call for the warriors. My friend, before anything appears in the physical, it is first whispered in the spiritual. Before the flood came, Noah heard the voice. Before Sodom burned, Lot felt the warning. And before the trumpet of the rapture ever sounds in the heavens, it sounds in the heart of the one who still has ears to hear. This is not some future moment you're waiting for. This is not just about the skies splitting open or angels descending. No, the first sign of the rapture is already happening inside you. That ache, that discontent, that deep sense that something is off. In the world, yes, but more importantly inside you. That is the beginning. That is the alarm. And most men miss it because we've been taught to numb it, to silence it, to drown it in entertainment, in lust, in noise. But when God begins to call a man home, he doesn't start with the miracles. He starts with the emptiness. He removes the false comforts. He lets the high wear off. He lets you taste what it's like to win without purpose. He lets the bed feel cold even when she's lying next to you. Because he's not trying to punish you. He's trying to resurrect you. See, the first rapture is not upward. It's inward. It's the calling out of the old man. It's the lifting up of your dead identity, your broken self-image, your crushed masculinity. You've been living under the curse of false names, failure, too sensitive, not enough. But God is calling you by a different name, son, redeemed, risen. You are not waiting for some last-minute escape. You are being called into transformation. The hour is late. The signs are not just in the wars or the earthquakes or the collapsing systems of man. The sign is in you. You are waking up. You're tired of shallow dating, tired of fake friendships, tired of pretending you're okay. That tiredness, that's the beginning of the end. Not the end of your life, but the end of your pretending. The end of living below your calling, and the beginning of something holy. So listen, this isn't a season to scroll. It's a season to stand. The world is collapsing, yes, but more importantly, the veil is collapsing. The performance, the illusion. This is the moment where men return not to pride, not to porn, not to performance, but to purpose, to fire, to truth. And the first step, you don't run, you return. Because before the rapture takes the world, God wants to rapture you back to yourself. There was once a city in the scriptures, Babylon, a city of confusion, a city of beauty, but built on pride, a place where the people spoke many tongues, chased many gods, and sought many pleasures, but they could no longer hear truth. And brother, we are living in Babylon again. But it's not just in the culture. It's not just in the politics. Babylon has entered the human heart. It has invaded dating, relationships, masculinity, femininity. And if you're a man trying to find connection right now, if you're trying to love with depth in a world that swims in shallows, you've already felt the sickness of it. Because modern dating, it's not just broken, it's demonic. It's an economy of validation, swipes, likes, ego, and lust. It's not built to connect you, it's built to consume you. And here's the dangerous part. It doesn't just distract you, it rewires you. You start to believe that your value comes from your image. That love is just chemistry. That being a high-value man means being emotionless, cold, dominant, and desired, but never known. But God did not make you to perform in the marketplace of bodies. He did not call you to beg for attention from a culture that's lost its soul. He didn't wire your heart to chase dopamine over destiny. You are not here to flirt your way through emptiness. You are here to build a kingdom with your life. And I say this with fire in my bones. If you want to be a man of God, you must come out of Babylon. You must exit the algorithm. You must detox from the need to be seen, to be chased, to be chosen. You must stop chasing the woman who doesn't see your spirit and start becoming the man who can hold covenant when she finally arrives. Because if you keep dating like the world, you will keep bleeding like the world. If you keep seeking quantity, you will never touch quality. If you stay in Babylon, you will forget Jerusalem. You'll forget home. And maybe that's why God is allowing your loneliness. Maybe that's why nothing is working. Not because He's ignoring you, but because He's rescuing you. Because the woman of worth you seek, she doesn't live in Babylon either. She's waiting outside the gate, in truth, in patience, in faith. So the question isn't, how do I win the game? The question is, when will I finally leave it? Because Babylon is falling, and it takes the distracted with it. We live in a world that tells you to be strong, stay positive, don't let them see you bleed. But let me speak a deeper truth, one that's written not on a screen, but in the very story of God. You cannot be whole until you have been broken, not slightly cracked, not gently humbled, broken, shattered, crushed. This is not punishment. It is preparation. This is how heaven makes men. Look at the scriptures. Jacob was broken in the wilderness, his hip dislocated after wrestling with God, and only then was he renamed Israel. Moses was shattered in the desert for 40 years before he ever stood before Pharaoh. David, the man after God's own heart, cried in caves, betrayed and hunted before he ever sat on a throne. Even Yeshua, Jesus himself, was not glorified before he was wounded. Before he rose, he wept. Before he saved, he suffered. And now you sit in your room, angry, ashamed, lost, thinking something's wrong with you because your plan didn't work. Your heart's been broken. Your career is empty. You've been ghosted, abandoned, overlooked, and you're asking God why. But what if the crushing isn't cruelty? What if it's calling? See, the world tells you to avoid pain, but heaven often moves through it, because the vessel must be emptied before it can be filled with new wine. The old identity, the one that needed to impress, to perform, to seduce, to dominate, must be broken so the real man can rise. Right now, many of you are walking through fire, quiet battles, silent grief, depression you don't talk about, anxiety you carry behind your smile. And here's what no one told you: that pain isn't proof that God left you. It's proof that He's preparing you. He's not interested in fake strength. He's building unshakable foundation. He's tearing down the boy who needed applause so He can raise up the man who stands in purpose. So stop cursing your pain. Stop trying to numb it. Let it do its work. Let it strip away what was never you. Let it humble you. Let it make you desperate enough to finally kneel. Because from the ashes of that brokenness, God will do what only He can do: resurrect you into a man of fire, truth, and unbreakable grace. You say you're falling apart. No, brother, you're finally being rebuilt. There is a place within every man that he hides, a room with no windows, a part of himself he's afraid to face, the anger, the lust, the shame, the rejection, the part that didn't get healed when he got saved, the part that still cries out in the middle of the night when no one is watching. We've been taught to fear this place, to pretend it isn't there, to clean up, perform, and smile on Sundays, while the pain rots underneath the surface. But let me speak something bold into your soul. The shadow is not your enemy. The shadow is your invitation. Carl Jung called it the shadow self, the part of you that contains everything you've repressed, your wounds, your rage, your need for approval, your unmet grief. And religion tried to shame that part of you. Culture tried to medicate it. But heaven wants to redeem it. Because God does not throw away what he wants to use. And he doesn't anoint masks. He anoints scars. Think about this. Jacob wrestled with God in the dark, not in the light, not on the mountaintop, but in the middle of the night, in the middle of his fear. And it was there, in the struggle, that he was transformed. That's where the name change happened. That's where the old died and the new was born. So stop running from your shadow. Stop pretending you don't feel what you feel. Your temptation is not the problem. Your depression is not a sign of failure. Your anger is not a curse. It's a call. God is not scared of your darkness. He enters it. That's what the cross was. Light-piercing shadow, love-invading torment, glory hiding inside pain. But here's the key. You must bring it to him. The shadow doesn't get healed in secrecy. It gets healed in surrender. That addiction you keep hiding, he already sees it. That trauma from your childhood, he was there. That fear that you'll never be enough, he already knows, and still he calls you son. You keep asking God to use you, but you're afraid to give him the whole picture, and God cannot heal the parts of you that you keep performing over. So tonight, go into the room, open the box, look into the mirror, not to shame yourself, but to invite God into the very place you were most afraid to feel. Because what you think disqualifies you is the very place God will show his power. There's a lie that's been whispered into the soul of this generation, especially into the hearts of men. It says you're not enough unless someone else says you are, that you're only worthy if she wants you, that you're only valuable if they approve, that your life only has meaning if it's seen. But I came to break that lie, because the truth, the ancient, holy, unstoppable truth, is this: you were not created to be chosen. You were created to be sent. Brother, listen to me. You're not a beggar in the marketplace of attention. You're not a little boy hoping to be picked for the team. You are not a brand. You are not a product. You are not a trend. You are a son of the living God, and he didn't ask permission to love you. Before you were born, he saw you. Before she rejected you, he appointed you. Before they unfollowed, blocked, ghosted, or overlooked you, he had already placed his hand on your life. But here's the trap. When you forget your identity, you start auditioning for it. You try to impress women so you can feel masculine. You chase status so you can feel powerful. You perform on apps and in conversations, hoping someone will finally tell you who you are. But you don't need to be picked. You don't need another like. You were named before you were known, and you were sent before you were seen. Jesus didn't ask the Pharisees for permission. David didn't wait for Saul's approval. Jeremiah was told, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you." And yet here you are, crippled by a girl who didn't text back, wounded by a father who never saw you, haunted by a society that keeps telling you you're not enough. But the Father has already spoken. He called you beloved. He called you chosen. He called you sent, not to fit in, not to please, but to walk in fire, to stand in truth, to live so boldly that your very breath is war against the darkness. So stop waiting to be chosen. The moment you stand in your anointing, everything shifts. The doors open. The weight lifts. The voice of God gets louder than the voice of rejection. You were never meant to wait for validation from a broken world. You were meant to walk in the authority of a healed one. And you don't need anyone's permission to begin. You already have God's commission. And now we come to it. The final sign, the one nobody talks about, not the wars, not the rumors, not the blood moons or the shaking of nations. No, this sign is deeper, quieter, hidden in plain sight. It is the return of the integrated man, not the macho mask, not the passive nice guy, not the broken boy hiding behind gym selfies and bank accounts. I'm talking about a man who has become one within himself, a man whose heart, mind, and spirit are no longer divided. This man doesn't wear his strength as intimidation, but as protection. He doesn't hide his emotions. He honors them. He doesn't chase women. He draws them with truth. He doesn't shrink in pain. He rises in it. This man has faced his shadow, wrestled with God in the dark, and emerged with a limp, but also with a name. And I'm telling you, that man is the final sign. Because before God shakes the world, he raises up men who can carry it. This is what the enemy fears. Not just revival in churches, but revival in men. Men who no longer outsource their worth. Men who've been through fire and didn't fake it. Men who no longer need to dominate to feel strong or pleased to feel loved. But men who live integrated, honest, surrendered, grounded in both fire and mercy. This world has enough influencers, enough millionaires, enough boys playing pretend. What heaven is raising is fathers, kings, warriors of peace, men who can cry in the closet and then go slay Goliath in the field. Men who stop hiding from themselves and start healing for generations. Do you feel it? This isn't just self-improvement. This is prophecy. This isn't just about getting better. It's about getting whole. The return of Christ is near, but before he returns in the clouds, he's returning through you, through your decisions, through your alignment, through your healing. He's coming for a bride, but he's also preparing the sons. And every day you choose wholeness over comfort, truth over applause, silence over noise. You become part of the sign. You think your journey doesn't matter? Heaven is watching, hell is trembling, and the earth is groaning for sons to rise. So rise, brother, not in ego, but in essence, not in pride, but in presence, not in performance, but in integration, because the final sign has already appeared, and it's you. Brother, if you're still here, if something in your spirit is burning right now, then hear me clearly. This wasn't just a video. This was a summons, a trumpet blast to your soul, a call to rise, to break, to heal, to come home to yourself. You're not crazy for feeling the disconnect. You're not weak for being tired. You're not behind because you're broken. You're right on time because heaven does its best work in the ashes. You don't need to go back to the apps. You don't need to numb out with another hookup or another highlight reel. You need to feel this. You need to let this truth break you open. Because your pain is sacred ground, and your restoration, it's not just about you. It's about every man you'll lead, every son you'll raise, every woman you'll one day love with presence instead of performance. So take the fire, let it wreck the illusion. Let it purify what was fake. Let it ignite what was asleep. And don't keep this to yourself. If this word pierced you, if this message reached the places nobody else sees, then I want you to like this video. Comment below the words, "I'm done pretending. I'm ready to rise." Share this with a brother who's been stuck in the dark too long. And subscribe, because this isn't the end. It's the beginning of a movement, a rising, a return. You're not alone. You never were. And you're not too late. You were made for this hour. Let's go.